What's going on, everyone? Happy Saturday to everyone. Hopefully everyone is doing well, staying safe, healthy. If you had taken a COVID test, hopefully you have tested negative. If you did test positive, I hope you have a full and speedy recovery with no long COVID issues. It is time now for the Saturday edition of the Pandemic Update for Saturday, August 10th, 2024. If you're new to my channel, this is where I do the daily pandemic update on all things COVID and any other virus that could be a health threat to you. We talk about COVID cases, wastewater, Walgreens data, famous performers who come down with COVID, measles cases, air qualities, a whole bunch of different things, all to keep you safe and informed with what's going on. We usually do about a 15 to 20 minute video. Today is definitely going to be closer to 20 minutes, and apologies, we may even go over 20 minutes today. Yes, today is a very, very busy day. I have a lot of things I want to show you today. So, if you're new here, welcome to my channel. Subscribe down below. Give this video a thumbs up. Hit that notification bell. Share this with anyone you know, and of course leave your comments down below. Without wasting any more time, let's get right into it. Alright, remember yesterday we reported about Rod Stewart was dealing with strep throat? Well, this has changed a little bit. Yes, he may still have strep throat, but now Sir Rod Stewart is dealing with COVID, and he has had to cancel more shows. That's right, Rod Stewart has contracted COVID. He's tested positive, and he's canceling more shows in Las Vegas. Yes, this is not a good thing. In baseball news, Red Sox place Cooper Criswell on COVID-related injury list. Why? Because he has tested positive for COVID. So he is the right-handed pitcher for the Red Sox, and, well, he has now tested positive for COVID. In measles news today, New Orleans is reporting that there is a case of measles. This is reported by the Louisiana Department of Health. And for any of these stories that you see here, if you want to read the full story, I do make a thread on my website, datareport.info, where I do post the links to the stories used into today's update. Moving on now, Alaska's youngest at risk as whooping cough cases see spike. That's right. Pertussis, Alaska is seeing an increase. Take a look at this. You can see here on this chart, January, February, March, April, May, June, and then look at July. Wow. June they had 20, July 71. Yes, just by looking at this chart, which is a video, it's really rising there, and you will be able to see this as well. Again, this will make the list as well. All right, moving on to this. Jay Weiland in his weekly update on COVID. And I gotta say, there's some not so good news in this update this week. Let's read it. Let's go over it, shall we? August 9th update. Estimated daily infections reach 1 million. So we already have confirmed this through other people that we were at 1 million. This is just more confirmation. Yes, COVID infections in the United States right now are at 1 million, which is absolutely insanity for the summer months. Who would ever think that we would reach 1 million daily infections in the summer months? And he even says, remarkable infection rates for a summer surge. Only BA.2, the BA.5 was higher in the summer of 2022. 1 million infections a day. 1 in every 33 people currently infected. 74% higher than the 12-month average. And take a look at this. You can clearly see here. Remember yesterday we looked at the CDC wastewater page. It was straight up. Well, his estimates continue to go straight up. Let's take a look at something else. There's some surprises in this. You know, some places that even he said were peaking. Are rising again. Prevalence by region. Every region increasing in wastewater levels. Both the south and west are at roughly 12-month highs. Midwest, 1 in every 42 people are infected. The South, 1 in every 25 people are infected. The Northeast, 1 in every 58 people are infected. And the West, 1 in every 22 people infected. The West is doing the worst. Northeast, not as bad. The Northeast tends to get much worse during the winter month surges. But nonetheless, these are really bad numbers. And you can see here, if you look here at this greenish blue color, that's the West, and you can see it had looked like it was peaking. Then KP 3.1.1 came to town and bombs away, up it went again. If you know what I mean, COVID. It just did its thing and went up again. Make no mistake, though waning is a very important driver of ways, variant evolution plays a large difference, a large role in the difference between years. And basically what he's saying is this year we had flirt KP.3, KP.3.1.1 back to back, each quickly overtaking the last. Yeah, so immunity can be a thing as well with these variants. Maybe one variant provides better immunity than the other towards another variant, then a new variant comes and immunity is not as great. More on immunity in just a moment. There's something I want to show you about that. Two things out of Canada. COVID-19 outbreak declared at Smith Falls Hospital. You can view this on the website, but I'll add a link to this into today's thread. And COVID-19 outbreak declared at Clinton Public Hospital. All right, now that bit on immunity that I promised you. I posted a poll yesterday, and I just retweeted to get some more traction. 221 votes, and still 5 hours left. Maybe it'll reach 300 votes. Do you know someone who has gotten COVID twice within 6 months or twice already this year? 59.3% of people did say yes, and 40.7% of people said no. Then I took this a step further and did a little digging in my COVID positive archive and came across U.S. Senator Dick Durbin, Democrat of Illinois, and get this, he actually did do that, but not so much this year. Now, let's read. U.S. Senator Dick Durbin of Illinois announced on Sunday, March 19th, 2023, that he tested positive for COVID. That's one case. He is 78 years old back at that time, and this is his second infection. His first infection was on July 28th, 2022. That's two cases. Scroll down. Oh, but what's this? On Sunday, July 23rd of 2023, Dick Durbin once again tested positive for COVID. This was his third time testing positive for COVID. And look at the dates here. That was his, you might as well say, close to his third time testing positive for COVID within a year. Yes, July 28th, 2022, July 23rd, 2023. I mean, about a year's time. 3 COVID cases within a year. That's really bad. So it goes to show you, sometimes immunity is not all what it's cracked up to be. Some variants do provide immunity amongst future variants because sometimes variants are very similar to one another. But in some cases, sometimes being rare, this can happen. Scary, isn't it? All right, taking a look at the UK this week, they reported 2,957 cases. Their cases were down by 18%. And everything else was dropping. Deaths went down by 17.5%. Hospitalizations went down by 14.4%. Yes, and their positivity rate was 14.8%. Allergy levels, drum roll please. 36% of the country is in medium status for allergy levels. Little bit of orange in southeast Michigan. Taking a look at air qualities real quickly, and we do note here that air quality levels today are better in the east. Yep, there you go. The east and the northeast, still along the I-90, a little bit of yellow. It's not really all that noticeable outside. I think it's relatively elevated, if anything, because it's really cleared out thanks to that cold front coming through, caused by Debbie, and the Pacific Northwest wildfires. You're going to be stuck in this until these wildfires finally calm down, until you finally get some much-needed rainfall. Yes, you're stuck in this for a while. Heat-related illnesses continue to be a problem. Want to learn more about climate and weather? You can do that on my other X account, at Climate Data Report. Philadelphia yesterday. It was a very humid day yesterday, but it was not a hot day. And here we have it, 861 EMS incidents. So it continues to be very busy in Philadelphia. After that slight drop on Thursday. Let's do a live look in at Montgomery County. Currently there are 11 calls, and we do see several different things. Cardiac arrest, Upper Providence Township in Montgomery County, Pennsylvania, and a live look in at what's going on in Chester County, Pennsylvania. Wow, heart problems, respiratory difficulty, sick person, abdominal pain, EMS standby, heart problems, injured person, respiratory difficulty, heart problems, sick person, injured person, hemorrhaging, respiratory difficulty. That's busy for a Saturday in Chester County, Pennsylvania. All right, moving on to Walgreens this week. The national positivity trend was 40.2%. The prior week is 39.4%. That's a difference of up 0.7%. And testing was over 10,000 for the first time in a very long time, with 10,596 tests versus 8,132. With cases, or with wastewater levels still rising. you would have to think that may rise a little bit more. Eventually, that's going to drop below 10,000, probably before Labor Day at this rate. At least I would think. The COVID viral activity level in Canada is moderate. Flu A viral activity level is low, as is flu B and RSV at this time. Taking a look now at some new CDC data that just came in yesterday, and the viral activity level in the United States is now listed as very high for COVID. Yeah, we're not happy about that. We'll take a look at this map and some of these wastewater sites tomorrow. There's some places that do surprise me that are still rising, which at this point should have peaked, but hey, we do have yet another variant. There's been several subvariants of COVID this summer. Taking a look at this map, yeah, you can see there's still a lot of very high places. Again, we'll take a look at that tomorrow. The latest variant is the KP 3.1.1 variant at 27.8%. All right, moving on now to hospital emergency department visits. But before we do this, we do have to take a detour. We do have some notes, and rather than stopping during each state, I'm just going to get to these notes first because there's a lot of them today. And here we go. Saturday, August 10th, pandemic updates notes. All right, there's a big event going on up in South Dakota. There's some events here we need to keep an eye on. South Dakota, Sturgis, in 2023 had 617,000 people attended that event. Yes, there's a potential there could be COVID there. If you're going there, please be safe. I would say wear a mask there, but that's one place where you might run into some problems if you're masking at that event for obvious reasons. You know, it's a big motorcycle event. It tends to lead towards, I'm not going to say the name of the former president, but you get where I'm coming from. You might be asking for some trouble there, unfortunately. Music Fest, which is a big event here in Pennsylvania. In 2023, I have here in my notes here, they had over the entire week 1,330,000 people attended that. Now, this year's attendance is likely a little hampered because of the weather. We had Debbie effects, we had a stalled front. There was a lot of rain, and oftentimes it does rain there, but the weather's nice this weekend. I imagine it's packed up there this weekend. In Saratoga, New York, horse racing. Yes, it's August. It's race time up at the Saratoga Raceway. We'll take a look at wastewater sites there tomorrow, and you'll see, actually, it's not bad there at the moment. And horse racing is going on there. And in 2023, for the first time since 2018, they had 1.1 million people attend that for more than 27,000 people per day on average. So, yes, these are three big events that, you know, if you're going there, please be careful. It could cause COVID cases, and as we know, your likelihood of being around someone who's positive is much higher when you go to these massive events like this. All right, now some case counts from YouTube user CJS83172. He's been leaving comments. I found him on X. So this is fantastic, and I'm going to read off some of his cases, some of his report that he has given to me. And take a look here. California, 11,719 positive tests over the past 7 days, 89 new deaths. Texas reported 13,159 new cases and 35 new state-reported deaths. Though the CDC number is higher, New York, 54 new deaths this week and 13,927 cases. That number is coming down, but it's still too high. New Jersey, 841,000 new cases for today and 5,502 for the week, with 16 state-reported deaths this week. Now, let's pause for a second. I just said New York is still too high. I'm sure someone is getting ready to type right now, yawn, but there was X amount of cases back in 2020, 2021, and even 2022. Hello, we're in the day of age where these things right here rule the roost. At-home test, and you know what, something else that rules the roost much more than any testing at all is those who do not test at all. So this is pretty significant for 2024. Georgia added 6,189 new cases this week. West Virginia, 1,870 new positive tests over the past week. Pennsylvania, my state, we added another 29 new deaths reported this week. And Puerto Rico, haven't mentioned that in a really long time. Puerto Rico, 759 new cases just on Friday alone. And wow, 4,125 for the week, with another 13 deaths added in Puerto Rico this week. Now, getting to emergency department visits. And it's not going to be every state, it's only the states that report. And we're going to go through this quickly, so apologize. I do apologize if it is too fast. United States, there was signs that maybe there was possibly a peak this week. We'll have to see if that holds, given wastewater still rising. But who knows, hopefully it'll drop, or it could be one of these notches where it just levels off and then goes a little higher, or it does drop. Only time will tell. Alabama is starting to see that as well. A little bit of a drop there. Alaska, you did peak. You are dropping at this time. Arizona was dropping. Now, if you look real closely, Arizona may be starting to rise once again. Arkansas, there are signs that maybe it's slowing off a little bit, still rising right now. California, it was trying to peak. California started going back up. And reminder, these are people diagnosed with COVID showing up to the emergency department room. So they are positive for COVID. Colorado was leveling off. Now it's rising a little bit again. Connecticut is starting to drop at this time. Delaware continues to rise. And I happened to take a look at Interstate 95 in Delaware earlier. I did a tweet about it. My goodness. You can clearly see why the Mid-Atlantic COVID cases were going up this week. Because people are traveling like crazy still for vacations. I think it's going to be a few more weeks till we actually see a peak in more of these states. Washington, D.C., some good news here. It's dropping. Maybe you have peaked. Florida, dropping at this time. That's good. We do know Florida has peaked. Georgia, yikes. You're almost up to 3% of all emergency department visits being for COVID positive people at this time. Guam is relatively even at this time. Hawaii is dropping. That's some great news. Idaho at this time is continuing to rise, as is Illinois. Little sign that it may be slowing off. Indiana continues to rise. Iowa starting to drop. Kansas, you're approaching 2% of all emergency department visits. Kentucky is really bad. Wow, Kentucky is almost 3%. Louisiana, you're all the way up to 4%. It's trying to level off, but again, 4% of all emergency department visits positive for COVID. That's horrible. Maine was slowing off, and now Maine is kind of bouncing around a little bit. Maryland is continuing to rise. And real quickly about Maine, we do know that Maine's cases did continue to rise. Oh, listen to that in the background. Can you hear it? Ambulance. I'm telling you, it's been crazy here in Philadelphia with these ambulance calls. I'm hearing ambulances day in, day out. There was just one up the street. Someone was go-kart here. There goes one now. Maryland is continuing to rise at this time for emergency department visits, about 2.5%, almost 3% at this point. Massachusetts is showing signs of maybe slowing off a little bit. Michigan continues to rise. Mississippi, wow, you're almost up to 4%. Montana has leveled off. Nebraska dropping a little bit at this time. Nevada at this time is dropping somewhat, and New Hampshire has leveled off. That's good news. New Jersey, slowing off a little bit, and we'll take a look. You know what? Let's do a little detour real quickly. Let's go over to New Jersey and see if they updated for today's hospitalizations. I do need to refresh this. Let's take a look here. Hospital census data for New Jersey, 516, with 69 out of 70 hospitals reporting. I'm hopeful that New Jersey starts to drop. I think South Jersey, we've been noting, that's where the drop in wastewater has been. Newark's been rising a little bit, and some of the northern shore areas still seeing a little bit of a rise in wastewater, going back to emergency department visits. New Mexico dropping somewhat. New York State, this is a surprise. New York State still rising a little bit. Could be because of western New York. We do know New York City has peaked. North Carolina, wow, you're like over 3.5%, approaching 4%, still rising. North Dakota is starting to rise again. Ohio is still rising. Oregon still rising. Pennsylvania still rising. Hopefully Pennsylvania will slow off soon. We'll see. Back to college in Pennsylvania. Always. I'm already hearing about it up at Penn State. I'm already hearing calls for college-age students, who are sick. South Carolina approaching 4%. South Dakota dropping slightly. Tennessee still rising. Texas, signs of peaking, but you peaked near 4%. Utah still rising. Vermont still rising. Virginia still rising. Washington slowing off a little bit. West Virginia showing signs of dropping. And Wisconsin still rising. And Wyoming stopped reporting. Any other state that I did not get to, I apologize. They are just not included in this list. Missouri being one of them. Alrighty, folks. That does it for the Saturday edition of the Pandemic Update. We covered a lot of stuff within our 20-minute period. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe down below, hit that notification bell, share this video with anyone you know, and leave a comment down below. Let me know, Have you had COVID twice within a year? Have you had COVID twice within a year? If so, let me know down below, because in rare cases, it does happen. I will see you all again tomorrow for the Sunday wastewater video. Until I see you again tomorrow, stay safe, everyone, and have a fantastic Saturday afternoon. Thanks for watching.